في سنوات سابقة لهذا التاريخ. طبعا تعليم ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة موضوع مهم جدا. في الحقيقة احنا في الكويت الدولة ما بدأت تهتم في ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة إلا مؤخرا بإصدار قانون خاص فيهم، وبدأت الدولة ترعاهم، لكن إلى الآن ما زلنا احنا في طور البداية مقارنة في الدول المتقدمة في هذه الأمور، سواء كانت من ناحية رعايتهم أو من ناحية تعليمهم. وللأسف يعني نحتاج إلى ثقافة خلينا نقول ثقافة كبيرة علشان نوعي أو نوعي حتى الأسر. يعني دائما الأسر أحيانا يكون عندها نوع من الخجل أو نوع من هذا لما يكون عندها طفل يحتاج إلى رعاية خاصة، أو عندها ابن عنده إعاقة معينة. إلى الآن ما يعني كثير من الأسر تتحفظ و يعني وتحس في الخجل أن عندهم في الأسرة شخص ذوي إعاقة ويحتاج إلى رعاية خاصة. عندنا طبعا في هالجلسة هذه متحدثين لهم باع في هذا المجال ولهم خبرة طويلة في هذا المجال. أولهم معنا ديفيد بانس اللي هو المدير التنفيذي لمادة سنتر. هذا مادة سنتر في قطر، هو اسمه العربي مركز التكنولوجيا المساعدة أو قطر Assistive Technology. قبل لا يستلم المهام ديفيد كمدير تنفيذي أو نسميه الرئيس التنفيذي اللي هو الشيف اكزيكتيف اوفيسر، كان نائب للمدير التنفيذي، وقبلها له باع طويل في التدريس وفي الإدارة الخاصة بالتعليم لذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة. المتحدث الآخر معنا هو الأستاذ محمد جهاد درقام، وهو مدير المشاريع ومستشار تعليم إلكتروني في المركز الإقليمي لتطوير البرمجيات التعليمية. حاصل على درجة الماجستير في تكنولوجيا المعلومات والبكالوريوس في علوم الكمبيوتر. شارك في العديد من مشاريع التعليم الإلكتروني لصالح وزارات التربية وزارات التربية بدولة الكويت وعدد من الدول العربية، كما شارك في وضع الخطط الاستراتيجية لآليات ونظم التعليم الإلكتروني. وله مشاركات كثيرة في ورشات عمل وفي مؤتمرات في تقديم بحوث بهذا الخصوص. نبدأ جلستنا هذه بالأستاذ ديفيد بانس، راح يتكلم بخصوص التجربة القطرية بهذا الخصوص وتجربته في هذا السنتر. David, the floor is yours. I'm sorry I did not introduce you in English, but I understand there is instant translation.
There is.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My apologies, my Arabic starts with salam alaikum and finishes with inshallah. So my apologies that I'll have to address you in English. Thank you, Dr. Khaled. And can I pass on my thanks to His Highness, His Excellency, the organisers and sponsors of the conference, and to all the people I've met in Kuwait. It's my first visit to Kuwait, for their generosity and hospitality, and in particular for giving me this opportunity to address you and to discuss how we move from debate on assistive technology to collaboration and decision-making and taking action to implement assistive technology for Arabic-speaking people with a disability. Because the truth is that what we face is that actually Arabic-speaking people with a disability are using assistive technology every day. It's out there, people use it successfully in schools, in colleges and universities, in employment and in everyday life. And yet the scale of uptake, the success of implementation is far more limited. And the questions we need to ask are why? What are the barriers to uptake and what do we do about them? The scale of the issue is huge. The scale is always greater than estimated. And we've heard many statistics this morning. But for all sorts of reasons, we know that the number of people who benefit from assistive technology is more than those percentages. We know that there are issues of non-disclosure. Many Arabic speakers prefer not to admit that they have a disability, that they have a special need, an additional need. Diagnosis does not always accommodate functional limitation. As people become older, they may find that one or more function deteriorates without ever wishing to be defined as disabled. I'm one of those people. The last time I went for a hearing test, my audiologist told me within 2 years you will need a hearing aid. I'm not sure I can yet consider myself to have a disability. I'm not sure that once I have a hearing aid, I will consider myself to have a disability. But as a result of aging, I'm acquiring an additional need. Many hidden disabilities may be unreported. I think one of the most positive things about this conference is that it's addressing probably the greatest single hidden disability, that of learning disability. But even within that area, learning disabilities are poorly defined. Sometimes we see children defined as having a learning disability, which really is a result of an education system that is not meeting their needs. Overall, international comparisons would suggest that 1 in 5 of the population, including the school population, will have additional needs at some stage, 20%. But actually the scale is larger than that. Microsoft's research suggested that 70% of all users of technology benefit from improved accessibility and ease of use. So when we're talking about technology in our schools and how we make technology accessible to all, we're not talking about a minority of children. We're talking about them all. In Qatar, we spent some time looking at issues of adoption. What were the barriers that were stopping people taking up assistive technology? And when we spoke to people, they raised issues of awareness, of confidence, of availability, and particularly from availability from local suppliers. They spoke about cost. They spoke about the availability of technical support and what happens when technology goes wrong. And they spoke hugely about issues of language and culture and technology and the growth of Arabic technologies, and about issues of literacy, the ability to read and use the technology that was provided. And what was really interesting for us in Qatar is we took away what everybody thinks is the single biggest one of those issues. We took away the barrier of cost. And we said at MADA Centre, if you have a disability in Qatar, if you're a Qatari with a disability, or if you are an expatriate with 2 years residency, we will fund the equipment. We will pay for it. And all of those other issues began to become more and more important. When you remove fear of cost, you have to look at how you address the other issues. So MADA Centre was established by ICT Qatar under the patronage of Dr. Hessa Al-Jaber, the Secretary General for ICT Qatar. And it was her vision that established the range of services to meet the needs of people with a disability. And it was a range of services that impacted upon our ability to actually implement assistive technology. The need to offer independent advice of vendors and manufacturers. The need to offer accurate assessments of needs, not diagnosis of disability. I actually don't care whether somebody is defined as having cerebral palsy, whether they're defined as having multiple sclerosis. What I'm interested in is what is the impact on daily life in accessing technology for that individual. What is the functional limitation they face? And to find a solution that addresses that limitation. We provided training, not just to the individual, not just to the family, but to companies where people with disabilities were going to be working, to schools, to colleges and universities, to set up the infrastructure by which assistive technology will be effectively used within those settings. We provided the technology and we provided technical support. First-line technical support. If something goes wrong with your technology, our users can bring it back to MADA. And in the last year, demand has grown hugely for all of those services. 760 plus people have been to visit the centre for advice and awareness sessions. 450 people have had individual assessments of need. Nearly 650 people have had equipment provided for them. We've worked to deliver and localize into Arabic 8 new assistive technologies to benefit individuals. 30 information sheets, 55 courses to 700 people. We provided accredited training from a university in Dublin to 30 people. And we've reviewed and audited 16 websites of ministries and the private sector to improve levels of accessibility. So the scale of the task is huge. We're proud of what we've succeeded, and all we've begun to do is scratch the surface. The biggest single issue that faces us is the development of assistive technologies for Arabic speakers. If we are to deliver inclusive education, the availability of Arabic assistive technology is critical. And that technology must encompass a full range of needs and embrace both the commercial proprietary sector and open source solutions, because we must reduce the cost of entry level, stimulate innovation, and build a market. Arabic is the 5th largest spoken language in the world. It makes no sense why languages much smaller already have assistive technologies available to them. The diversity of Arabic is an issue, but making commercial companies aware of the market opportunity across the Arabic-speaking world is extremely important. And the assistive technologies already exist. Many technologies are out there and available for our use. For people with a visual impairment or who are blind, we have screen readers. Last night somebody asked me, is there an Arabic screen reader? I said there was at least 4 that I knew of, all of which I knew were being used in Qatar. Portable aids, braille note takers, voice output machines for carrying with you. Magnification that supports Arabic and with Arabic menus to make everything on the screen larger. And mobile devices across Windows Mobile, Apple and Android the growth of accessible technologies within them and the touch interface has benefited huge numbers. And the touch interface is one of the most valuable tools for people with learning disabilities. One of the biggest single barriers to people with learning disabilities taking up technology was the keyboard and mouse, because it diverted their attention from what was on screen to what they were doing with their hands. With touch devices, what you see is what you touch, is what you get. It's simple. So MADA's been working extensively to try to bring new technologies to the Arabic-speaking world. Sometimes that's about finding something that's already available and making sure that teachers and professionals realize that it has benefits for people with a disability. Word prediction is built into most of our mobile phones. Arabic word prediction is in there. But very few teachers I met thought of using that as a support to literacy on a tablet device for somebody who was struggling with reading and writing. We needed to go further and bring in new technologies. One area we worked in was on a program called Clicker 5. And Clicker 5 combined text with graphics, with sound, with video to support the development of literacy and the needs of people with learning disabilities. Hugely popular in Europe and America, and now available for the first time to support Arabic. We're currently rolling out a program to put the software into every school in Qatar, with training and with support. And we had a surprise. We developed the software for people with learning disabilities, physical disabilities, and then our deaf school came to us and said, you know, when you combine video with graphics, with text, and you let teachers design their own materials, this is really good for deaf children to help them improve their literacy. We didn't plan it that way, but with the imagination of the schools, of the teachers within the deaf school, saw added benefits. Support for physical needs. There's a wide range of keyboards available and on-screen keyboards, and these support Arabic well. But we probably need more. One of the biggest criticisms I have of the keyboards is the upper one you see here, the one with Google written on it, which has both English and Arabic text. Very, very confusing for children with dyslexia. Too much information on each key top. Very confusing for children with low vision. So we need to think of strategies to address that. We looked at support for people with hearing loss. And we talked at length to deaf people. And many of the needs described actually were addressed if we could do something about literacy levels. The deaf community, across much of the Middle East, has very limited levels of literacy. And this is a huge barrier to uptake of technology. How important was this? It struck me. I was in Japan in April, and I went to visit and spoke to some of the survivors of the tsunami. The first thing that went wrong in the tsunami was that deaf people were notified by sirens. Can anybody spot the problem of a siren as the way of telling deaf people there was a killer wave about to hit their town? So the second solution was to send them texts. In one Japanese town alone, 50% of all deaf people died. They couldn't hear the sirens, they couldn't read the text. When we talk about access to technology, it is so critical, it is so pervasive. And in that situation, it was truly a matter of life and death. So we're looking at developing literacy skills and using existing technologies, taking 2 iPads or 2 Android tablets, connecting them together with Bluetooth so that real-time chat can take place in text between a deaf person and a non-deaf person. We're looking at technologies around sign language and how we can make those more widely available. To do some of this, we think it's important to see the growth of open licenses. I'm delighted to tell you that during the last 4 weeks, MADA has been able to launch 2 sets of software to support Arabic-speaking people with disabilities that are completely free, that are completely redistributable, and completely available today. AT-Bar is a plugin to Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer that offers word prediction, that offers a dictionary, that offers an on-screen keyboard, and offers free Arabic text-to-speech for web pages. You can use it straight away, it's widely available, and you can find a link to it from the MADA website. We also have a suite of software called FXC that fully supports Arabic, that also is available to any school and any user anywhere within the Arabic-speaking world. We want to extend this and begin to see us making use of licenses for information that can be shared and reused by organisations across the Gulf. The use of Creative Commons and OER, Open Educational Resource, allows teachers in one country to develop a piece of information and share it with others to be localised right down to the names of suppliers within specific towns, countries or regions. Coming with this technology is the importance of accessible digital content, the use of standards to shape the structure of learning platforms and information sources, and of content, e-books, Word documents, PowerPoint slides, video presentations. There are guidelines for all in how to ensure they are fully inclusive. The provision of those guidelines in Arabic is one area that many of us could collaborate on to make sure they're widely distributed. Again, I'm very pleased to let you know that within the next 4 weeks we'll be launching Bookshare Arabic. Bookshare is a US initiative to make accessible e-books available to people with print impairments, people with dyslexia, people with low vision, people with physical disabilities. The first 100 fully accessible e-books will be available from Bookshare Arabic within the next few weeks. They'll be available in DAISY format, Braille-ready format, for downloading by any person with a disability with an account. One of the areas, perhaps again, we look at collaborating is how we increase that range of accessible texts. Some of those books are for children, some of them are for university students, and some of them are just for anyone. We've also supported the development of tools for conversion of existing books into alternative formats, working with organisations like RoboBraille and Dolphin to look at Easy Converter. These are software and online tools that take existing books and convert them into other formats, such as DAISY, MP3, large print, etc. It's important that we create, share and store accessible Arabic resources in a full range of formats. So when we looked at the market, and we looked at what was available, we saw that for people with physical needs and visual impairment, actually there was a diversity of products already available. The assistive technologies exist. But for those with dyslexia, learning disabilities, hearing loss, the range of technologies in Arabic was far more limited. So in our research and development department, we've begun to look at some of those priorities. Some of the building blocks of assistive technology are missing. Voice recognition technologies, free and low-cost text-to-speech engines, the development of optical character recognition to support Arabic is a severe hindrance to the creation of accessible materials. and the development of wayfinding solutions. And as has already been mentioned, we need to be conscious of how do we identify best practices and priorities, including implementation. So in Qatar, we've begun to establish and link ourselves to organisations from across the world, with G3 ICT, with DAISY, the Assistive Technology Industry Association, the World Wide Web Consortium. We've become members to look at the information and resources they have and to try to find the best ways of making those available to Arabic speakers. But we believe there is a vital next step. And that vital next step is to grow regional collaboration, to look at ways of linking together assistive technology organisations and those with an interest in assistive technology across the Gulf. Because we need to look at how we stimulate research and innovation in new solutions. We need to develop those solutions. It is not enough to fund research unless at the end of it there is a product that is going to change lives, that is going to have an impact on people with a disability. So sometimes a relatively low cost, that's about looking at an effective solution that's available in another language and localizing it to Arabic. And actually in those situations the cost is very small. What is needed is people are prepared to put time into those projects, to translate, to beta test, and to prepare training materials. Because we can share training materials and reduce the cost of bringing these technologies into our market still further. And ultimately, through collaboration and cooperation, to build Arabic capacity, to build our capacity to deliver these services. And I believe that that is made up of at least 3 building blocks: the public sector and government, the private sector and companies, and NGOs. Schools, of course, could be in any one of those. And all 3 of those sectors need to work hand in hand if we are going to build a truly effective ecosystem for Arabic-speaking people with a disability. And to give you some examples, in Qatar, the public sector, ICT Qatar drafted and launched the e-accessibility policy for the country, laying down clear expectations for public websites, the availability of accessible ATMs, kiosks, and so on. The private sector, QTEL, one of our telecommunications providers, launched the Connected initiative for people with a disability. Amongst other things, it offered any person registered with a disability a 50% discount on all tariffs, reducing the cost of being connected. And with Microsoft, we launched IMCAN, digital literacy materials in English and Arabic. And as with NGOs, we went ahead in Qatar with Shafala, Al Noor Centre, cultural and social clubs, societies, to work together to reach directly to disabled people where that was of greatest benefit to them. Putting our assistive technology skills and experience connected to those wide networks of those other organisations. So one of the things we would like to do to work with other centres is to map out what is the current state of the Arabic ecosystem. Who is offering advice and assessment? Who is offering training? How is provision made? What research is going on? What localisation is happening? Let's begin to shape who is doing what across the region and build one upon the other rather than replicate and repeat what someone else is doing. That way we can accelerate the uptake and availability of technology for disabled people. For an organisation, that could be like MADA, that has a reasonably even spread of activity across all of those functions. But for another organisation, it might be that one sector, such as training, dominates, and they do far less in the others. Other organisations, it may be that it's very fragmented, with some of those services being central and others being further removed. But the idea ultimately is to begin to be able to build a map of what is currently available, and importantly then to seek to share and reuse each other's resources, freely shared. So if we know that people have got really good materials in Arabic, raising awareness, let's localise them and reuse them elsewhere within the region. If somebody else has training materials they make available for free, let's make them for free available elsewhere. If there is good practice in e-accessibility or technical support, let's share that and replicate it. So the next steps that we're planning to do, and we'd be delighted for anyone here to join us, we will offer all of our materials, our fact sheets and information sheets, under Creative Commons license. Creative Commons license means that anybody here can use and reuse our resources without asking us for permission. We grant that permission in the license. We will continue to stimulate the development of Arabic assistive technologies. But here's the problem. We made a recent call to companies for Arabic assistive technologies. 31 companies came forward to say they would like to localise their product to support Arabic speakers. We selected 12 of those to shortlist. We've got funding probably for 4. So what happens to the others? Well, what we've been able to do is to agree with those companies that we will share their proposals with other organisations. So on June the 5th in Doha, we will have our first research forum. And we'd like to invite you to join us. And at that research forum, we will share those proposals that we cannot support this year. And if someone of another organisation says, actually, that's exactly what we're looking for, we'll hand it over to you, that you deal with the company, set up the service to bring another assistive technology into the Arabic-speaking world. And then we want to go beyond that to a second meeting in early autumn 2012 to invite you to join with us to look at how we collaborate and cooperate on a more formal basis. Not as a formal organisation, but where we each put resource and time into developing solutions that will assist people with a disability across the Arabic-speaking world. So thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with my English. It is much appreciated. If you'd like to discuss any of the possibilities, and particularly if you'd like to discuss ways in which we might collaborate, please contact us either via our social networks or directly, myself by email, via our website. We would genuinely be delighted to enter into partnership with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you for sticking to the time allocated to you. الشكر الجزيل للسيد ديفيد